Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And Lord willing, this would be a pretty straightforward lesson. I was meditating, I was looking for a topic, and the had a somewhat brief discussion, concerning pretty much what I'm going to go into today. All right, which, as you can see in the title, don't just glance over it. Okay, don't just glance over it. And in essence, what am I talking about? All right, I'm referring to the scriptures. Reading, as you read, especially when you're studying, okay, or you're reading, even if it's not just the scriptures, but in general, when you're reading something or you're going into something that you are not too familiar with, like for example, maybe an article, okay, but sometimes there's a tendency to read over certain parts just because you're trying to just get the gist of what's being said. So the tediousness of stopping to look up a word you don't understand, or coming back and trying to use context clues to make sense of that portion you just read. Instead, you have people that'll just skip over it. They'll just glance over it. Okay, this is a word. I probably didn't pronounce it right. I probably didn't even say it right. I probably don't even know what it means, but we'll just breeze on right past it and go through. Now, I mean, it depends on what you're reading, right? If you're reading some article that's filled with a conglomerate of like super technical terms and super detailed terminology, and you're not going to stop every 2 seconds just to find that out unless you're very interested in it, and you'll go as deep as you need to understand what it's talking about. But when it comes to the word of Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, when it comes to the scriptures, you don't have that slack to be able to just, oh well, I read a certain precept, I didn't really understand it, there was a word in there that I didn't really get, but I'm gonna just glance over it anyway. Okay, and the reason is, remember that as I'm about to read here in the book of Ephesians, our job, the reason the Lord gave us this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, open up our minds that we may receive this word, is so that we can use it, so that we can edify, we can feed his lambs, feed his sheep, and continue to do this, right? This is our job. This is what we've been employed to do. And when you work for the Lord, especially for Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, you can definitely not turn in half-assed or, mediocre work. You have to be perfect to the best of your ability. You have to go over and over and over and make sure that you get it right. Okay? Because the Most High demands the best that you can give. Now, obviously, we are not perfect, but striving for that perfection and doing the best that you can give the Lord is what he is looking for. Because in essence, what we do in serving the Lord is likened onto offering a sacrifice. And are we going to offer, what's that? I think it's in the book of, is it Micah? Are we going to offer a blemished sacrifice? Forget what chapter this is in, but let's scroll through and maybe we'll find it in here. Let's see. I recently read this not too long ago. Salakia, bear with me while I find this. Whoa, what's that? All right, Micah 2. Let's see. All right, in essence, it was going into Jake offering the Lord polluted sacrifices. Okay, sacrifices blemished, knowing damn well you weren't supposed to be doing that. Let me see if I can find it. Something is telling me Micah 5, but let's see. Nope. It's always when you're looking for it that you can't find it. Let me see. Blemish. And if I can't find it, it's okay. I'll just quote it and still make the point. But I want to try to find it first. All right. So unfortunately, it's not coming up. Nevertheless, I believe it's in the book of Micah. However, it talks about how Jake were sacrificing, um, maimed and blemished animals and so on and so forth, which is in essence an unworthy sacrifice to the Lord. Okay, so thinking about your service to the Lord in that aspect, you don't want to offer a half-assed or unworthy sacrifice to the Lord, because guess what? The one of the main disrespectful parts about it is, I'm sure that there's something in your regular life that you do that you make sure you do it right, be it the job that you work at or something that you're very interested in, something you do for fun or whatever it is, you make sure you do it right. If it was if it was some fine shorty that you met and maybe you were getting ready to go on a date or take her out or whatever the case may be, you wouldn't you wouldn't take a half-ass shower, brush your teeth half-assly. You make sure you go out there looking nice and good, right? So whatever it is, you'd put maximum effort to make sure that things are looking good. So how is it that when it comes to the work of the Lord, you don't have the energy to put in the time to stop and look up, what am I reading? What does it mean? Does it make sense? Do I understand it? Can I explain it to somebody else? Because remember, going back to the book of Ephesians, as it says in Ephesians 4 and 12, for the um, verse 11, it says, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for what? Verse 12, for the perfecting of the saints, the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying, the building up of the body of Hamashiach. So you're working in the body of Yahushua. This isn't just any old company. The Lord don't deal with mediocre. So when you go into a certain verse or certain precept, you're like, what does this mean? What does this word mean? What is the difference between these two? Maybe you look up the etymology. Maybe look up the interlinear. Hit on that. Read up what is the Hebrew word there? What is the Greek word there? There's also a feature that you can use. Say you look up, I don't know, gave, right? And then here in the Greek they have it as didome. You can read about it here. You can read the Strong's definition down here, and you can also look at, okay, what other precepts is this exact word with its definition that I just read used in, and then you can get some context. Okay, how is this word used? In what sense can it be used? And you try to understand as best as you can what it is that you're reading. If it's something that maybe is dealing with a historical event or certain things in there, you got to dig. Okay, you got to dig. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to get up in there and find it. Salakia, okay, it wasn't Malachi. All right, I was looking at Micah. Salakia about that. Yeah, it was in Malachi. The water. It is chosen vessel 144, Malachi 1 and 8. It says, and if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if ye offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee? Or accept thy person, saith the Lord of hosts. See, so you wouldn't offer it to the governor. It's just in context, but you think it's okay for the Lord. That's the thing. It's like it's not okay for something or someone in your regular life that is in a higher position than you. But when it comes to the Lord, anything goes. Why? Because you can't see the Lord, because you can't physically hear him right now, because he doesn't strike you with a thunderbolt or a lightning strike every time you go off. So because of that, you think you can put the Lord on the back burner, or you can, Lord, I mean, it is what it is, but he's watching. And really the Most High is the one to be feared the most out of anyone and everything. All right, so moving on, this is the book of Second Timothy, chapter 2, verse 15. And that's why, as it is said in here, study to show thyself approved unto God. That is a very important point that a lot of individuals seem to miss, which is that when you take the time to study, to read, to understand, the Lord will send the Spirit to guide you, to make sure that you are gaining that knowledge. But you have to seek, and ye shall find. But your goal, it shouldn't be, okay, well, I'm trying to become the deepest person so that I can look like this super deep person, or I can just go and debate everybody and cut everybody and sound like this super deep guy, because you're not showing yourself approved unto men, though we are all witnesses, but you're showing yourself approved to the Most High. Why? Because we didn't employ you. None of us here employed you in this work to say, hey, you're working for us, and you have to impress us in order for you to keep. No, you're doing the work of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's the boss. Okay, that's the owner. So you show yourself approved to the Most High. Show him that, okay, Lord, you hired me, but I'm the right one. I'm an asset. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to do what I was hired to do. And a big portion of being a teacher is being a student. You have to study. You have to learn. You have to know what you're talking about. Okay, because especially being out on the highways and byways, or even doing these lessons, whatever information you put out there, we're doing in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You're doing it on behalf of the Lord. You're representing the Lord and the truth and the gospel and the ministry. So if you don't study, you're not going to be effective at defending the gospel, and people will always be able to find things that you say and then try to. You notice that a lot of people and scoffers, when they try to come against us, we're always able to stand firm, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down. Why? Because you study. So whatever they come with, we always go into it. We always go. They may say a certain thing, quote a certain thing, and brothers go find the precept, get the context of it, put it in, and break it down, go into it, do the research, and bring out the information on it. And that's what happens when you study. You don't shy away. So if somebody is saying he's botching a breakdown, but if you don't know it, how are you going to defend it? Right? If everybody in the room does not know what the correct understanding is, because nobody really did the studying, then when somebody says something that's off, how do you know that it's off? How do you know that it's not correct? This is why the apostle Paul mentioned the church of Berea, and this is why they did what they did to search the scriptures whether the things that the apostle Paul was saying were so. Because if they didn't do that, then they can easily be swayed and deceived. Because how can you verify? The Carfax is in the studying. When somebody comes and says something to you, hey, really, this guy was this guy, or that was talking about this time period. Khan, no, not Khan. Is it true or not? Is that what it's actually talking about? But if everybody in there, nobody's studying, nobody knows what's going on. Whoever it is, the speaker says something crazy, something outlandish, and everybody just says Khan. Oh, yep, that's it. Hallelujah. Oh, he's good. Meanwhile, you're co-signing something that's completely off. Yeah, man. But as it says, right, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, meaning teaching it correctly. Imagine you were the owner of a certain company or whatnot, and your company specializes in a certain particular thing. It's not just like retail with clothes and anybody can come in there, right? No, your job specializes in something, and it takes a certain level of skill and a certain kind of individual to not only pass certain tests and requirements and get certain scores on certain things, but then in order to withstand the pressure that it takes to perform this job, right? When you are vetting said individual, if you see any shadiness or any signs that they cannot perform well in this job, if they're not showing themselves approved to you, what are you going to do? If it's at the interview process, then you might drop them. You might not go forward with them as a candidate. If they are an employee who maybe they started off doing good, but if you see that they're not working up to standard, then they might need to get fired. So just because you're employed doesn't mean you're always going to stay employed. And that's when you work for the Lord, you have to keep that in mind. The Lord might have employed you, but if you're not performing during the performance reviews when they come back, because that's what the angels do. They go around and they record performance reviews. Okay, such and such does this, such and such is doing this. All right, all right. What is the status update? Is this person doing worse? Are they growing? Are they doing better? Where's their mind at? What are they doing? What is distracting them? What's happening here? And we're constantly getting evaluated, and your reports are being sent back. So now the Lord is looking at you saying, "What's up with such and such?" Maybe put the spirit on another one to rebuke him or whatnot, and see what comes of it. But the point is, if you don't show yourself approved to the Most High, there's no guarantee that you're gonna stay here. The Lord might say, "Well, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's time to go." Just like if you owned a certain company and you saw somebody not doing what they were supposed to be doing, then it's gonna be time for them to go, because you're thinking of the overall health of your company, not just one specific individual. You're not. Are you gonna let your company go under because of one employee? No, they are expendable. You will fire them and get somebody new. So how expendable do you think we are? The Lord called us a worm. He said he could raise up stones. And that's why we always have to remember that. Someone botches a breakdown, why is it so hard to correct it rather than going all around the person to do some how shit, just asking, not picking on anyone, but I noticed how this shit is lately. Oh, some whole shit. I don't know what you're referring to. If you do you have a specific example, some of what the quote unquote whole shit is that you're referring to here? Because if somebody goes off on a breakdown, that is what we do. We correct them. Okay, and we let it be known openly. All right, this is incorrect. This is what it's actually talking about, and then boom, boom, boom. Because it's not about. I mean, it's not about shaming the person necessarily. But then again, it depends, right? Because if somebody sincerely goes off, and then and they didn't know it, or they messed up, or they slipped, and then you go out and you do a lesson and you say, okay, this actually means this, or so on and so forth, and you break it down. If they sincerely went off and the Lord is with them, their eyes are going to be open, and they're going, oh shoot, con damn, oh shit, I went off on that. And if anything, there's a scripture that says that rebuke a scorner and he will basically he'll talk shit whatnot, but rebuke a wise man and he will love thee, because he'll see where he went wrong and where he can do better. But the problem is, you have some individuals that even though they're wrong, they don't want that to be called out. They don't want to be shown to be wrong. They can't accept that. It hurts their pride, and they value their pride more than correction. So then they can't receive that correction. And then they take it as though you're throwing shots at them or you're coming at them. But I mean, there's only but so many ways you can correct somebody. You could, I mean, that Jake, man, you could come to Jake in the nicest way possible and let him know, hey, that was actually, you said this, but that's not really what it means. That's not what it means. What you trying to say? I'm not studying. What's that supposed to mean? You trying to get at me, bro? That's just the nature of Jake. Okay, but the point is, back in 2 Timothy 2:15, the point is, you have to study. Don't just read over things, glance over things. You read a chapter, but you don't understand what the chapter means. Meanwhile, there's videos, there's breakdowns, there's all of these things on the chapter. But having to go and look for them, to watch them, to say, oh, okay, this is what it actually means. Oh, you have to always verify. You have to verify. You gotta. Okay, this is what I'm reading here. Okay, is that what it means? It kind of makes sense to me, but can I confirm that? That's the thing. And sometimes Jake got a short attention span, so they start reading. They get 6 verses in. I gotta stop and look up every damn word and go into the Greek, go into the Hebrew, whatever. I'll come back to it. And they never come back to it. So then, guess what? Maybe they forget about it. Maybe they're out on the highways and byways. Maybe the topic comes back up, and now they can't see anything because they don't understand. Moving on, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7. It says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding, because understanding is that key. If you don't understand, why do you go to school? You go to school, they teach you all these different things, but why do people ask questions and why do people give answers? The goal of asking questions and giving answers is to help the person understand. That's why we give examples, right? That's why we that's why you have different precepts. That's why you explain. That's why all of these things are for you to understand, because once you understand something, that's it. You can take it from there, right? So the goal is not for you to, for example, you go on a new job, right? You're shadowing somebody, or it's orientation or whatever it is, they're training you. If you don't understand how to do the job, you'll never be successful at it. If all you do is just mimic whoever it is that you were shadowing, you'll never be successful at it. It's for all you that like to just sit around and listen and wait for some BS to scoff. All right, look, you're not adding to this, man. You out of here, bro. Get this guy out of here, man. Rapper, Mr. Rapper on here trying to drop some holy gems on us, because we don't know what's going on. He gotta come in and explain to us about everything that's going on. He's Mr. Deep. He's Mr. Deep. He sees it all. He sits back with his arms folded, bird's eye view, and he just watches. You know, yeah, I'm talking to all of you. Look, man, just do the work, man. Just do the work. The scriptures talk about marking them and rebuking openly. You know, it's not because, hold on a second. You may say that, right? But what about how the Lord looks at us? Because you got people that get so hurt. And maybe he got rebuked. I don't know. I don't know who Rapper is. But what is the Lord going to think of us if, on the one hand, you got individuals saying, "Oh, you guys, you people just sit around and wait for somebody to say something, and then you just start talking about it." Well, if what they're saying is incorrect about the scriptures, what are we supposed to do? What is the Lord looking at us, expecting us to do? Do you think the Most High? No, 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 don't worry about it. Let him say all the incorrect things. Let him say incorrect things about me. Let him say incorrect things about the scriptures. But don't worry about it. You don't want to ruffle any feathers, so don't say anything. So why did the Lord give us the correct understanding in the first place? And what about those that are actually sincerely confused? As a matter of fact, a perfect example was recently you had the individual from the WFI, and had we, starting with the elders and apostles, not constantly going in on that MOTB, 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 getting on them, then what would have prompted the individual to say, "Yo, hold on, that actually makes sense. What they're teaching here doesn't make sense. Nah, I can't. Nah, no, no, no. This and then leave, and the Lord might have mercy on them for that." See, so I mean, at the end of the day, people just get emotional, and then they're driven by their feelings. But when judgment comes down, it's not about your feelings. That's the thing. It's like you got so many men that are so in their feelings. It's like, bro, just grow up. Man up. Why are you always in your feelings? Shut up and do the work, man. I mean, it gets annoying. It's like everybody has. It's always about how you. Yeah, always doing this and that. Bro, shut up and just go do the work. Because when the Lord comes down, the scriptures say Yahweh Shai is an austere man, right? One thing about austerity is austere people don't care for the details. Spare them the details. What they care about is what is the main focus? What is the main point? If Yahweh Shai tells you to do something and he tells you get it done before I get there, and he gets there and it's not done, quite frankly, he doesn't really care about the details. What he cares about is it's not done. Because no matter what you tell him, it's not done. That's the end. I mean, that's the whole point, right? No matter what you tell him, it's not done. Oh, Lord, I was going to do it, but why are you telling me? Did you do it? No, you didn't. So now what? If he told you that, look, put it like this, you're working, right? Your manager tells you, yo, I need you to, I don't know, clean up this spot, before the next few come the before opening time. If you don't do it, you're fired. He comes back and the spot is not clean and you over there. Yeah, but I was gonna do it, but I had to take a water break. And then when I was drinking the water, I slipped, so I had to use the bathroom. And when I was using the bathroom, I fell asleep. But is that gonna change the fact that, number one, it's not clean? Number two, it is closing, it is opening time, and customers are coming in. And number three, you're now fired. It doesn't matter what you say because what you say is not going to change the outcome. See? So all this complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining, bro, if it bothers you so much, don't watch. Go and do something with your life. There are a lot of short planks over there that you can take long walks off. you know. But the whole point is, how about Shamil Shai is not. That's not what he's looking for. He's looking for, look, man, are you doing what I required of you? But a lot, but where a lot of individuals go, they're very diligent with is they're very diligent with not doing anything, but talking about others that are doing things. But if you had all that energy and all that diligence, why don't you go use it to actually do something? If we're doing it the wrong way, why don't you go do it the right way? Why? And it makes sense, right? Because I understand, like the apostles, they say it all the time. Elder brothers, they say it all the time that, look, you got individuals that they never say what's right, but the second you say something, then they can tell you everything wrong about it. And that's why there's certain breakdowns that the apostles tell you, look, we did a video on it years ago. Now it's not there anymore. But it's like we don't really want to put anything new out there because you got individuals that they won't ever go into it. And then the second you go into it, oh no, that's wrong. Nope, you got that wrong. That ain't right. No, that ain't right. Anyway, man, Proverbs 4:7, it says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get what? Get understanding. Because once you understand what's going on, you understand the job, you understand the scriptures, then you don't need to parrot, you don't need to mimic, because you understand, right? I can the like if I use, which I use this a lot, right? If I use addition, I use 2 plus 2 as an example. The point of that example is to get you to understand how addition works. Once you understand how addition works, I don't need to give you any more examples. I don't need to show you 3 plus 3, 9 plus 9. I don't need to show you that. You can figure that out on your own because you now understand. That's the whole point. But if you don't understand and you don't ask and you just say con, and then now you go and see, oh, what's 7 plus 8? Damn, how the hell do I do that? All I know is 2 plus. If it ain't 2 plus 2, I don't know it because you never got the understanding, and now it's working against you because you can't grow because you don't understand. So that's why it says wisdom is a principal thing, therefore get wisdom. But with all that getting, with all the wisdom that you get, you have to get understanding because that's how you grow. That's how you become rooted, when you understand, when you do things the proper way, not just to do it just to do it, not just to say it just to say it. Know what you're saying. If you're pronouncing something, pronounce it correctly. Give it the effort to pronounce it correctly. If you're not sure about something, verify it so that the next time you say it, you can say it with confidence because you know, hey, I verified it. Okay. Um. Yep. Let me read some of these precepts. Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Bashem El Shai Brakatham. Says dyed garments from Basra 144 Ba, Titus 3:8. This is a faithful saying, and these things I will that thou affirm constantly, that they which have believed in God might be careful to maintain good works. These things are good and profitable unto men. Yep, gone. And that comes by doing your due diligence. All right, this is Pillars of Benjamin, Sirach. Yeah, Sirach 3:29. The heart of the prudent man will understand a parable, and an attentive ear is the desire of a wise man. So, how will the mind or the heart of a prudent man understand a parable? Because a parable is something that's not straightforward. It's not easy to just grasp. But what's going to allow them to understand it? They're prudent. That prudence is going to have them look into it. Where dark I think in the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 39th chapter, it talks about one that gives his mind to the law, where dark sayings or so parables are, he will be there also. Doing what? Doing due diligence to understand them, gaining that esoteric knowledge. Um, Pillars of Benjamin, Isaiah 49:1. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken ye people from far. The Lord Yahweh hath called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name, and he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. And his quiver hath he hid me, and said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. So if you are the Lord's servant and he has put us in this position, then we ought to do it to the best of our ability to show the Lord that we value it. Colossians 4 and 6, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. And how are you going to do that? So you're not caught up in your words. So you're not, you don't look like you don't know what you're saying. Sometimes you may not know what you're saying. You're not expected to just know everything off the top. But if you don't know one thing this week, it shouldn't that should prompt you to go and look into it. Right? There was a saying that the problem isn't necessarily with being weak. The problem is in staying weak. Meaning that you may not know one thing today, but if I come back tomorrow and you still don't know that same thing, if I come back next week and you still don't know that same thing, then I can fault you for it. It may be you didn't know it, you didn't understand it, but now you do. So now that you do, why are you still here? Okay, I realize that I actually don't know that. I don't understand that part. Okay, next week when I ask you and you still don't understand it, now what's your excuse? It's not that you didn't know. Now you know, but you just are not, giving your due diligence. Okay. Abba wants us to be experts and elite at what we do. Exactly. Exactly. And the Lord has given us everything we need in order to do that. The only thing we have to do now is just give the diligence. If you put in the work, if you put in the time, the diligence, and the work, you will get there. It's not like the Lord has hidden these things from us and he has opened up our eyes. He has given us the resources. He has given us the teachers. And I always say this, man, studying now compared to having to study during the time of the elders is a completely different thing. Today you can just type something, just throw it up in the internet, throw it up in the search bar, and it'll pop up exactly everything right there. Now compare that to having to read books and you reading chapters just to find one excerpt in a certain page so you can use that as a reference to go back to another book to then make sense of that. Staying up for hours, hours, hours studying. Imagine that. Imagine how long it takes to get information then. And then committing it to video. And now all you got to do is click on the video, press play, and all that information is being passed on to you. And you didn't even have to do all that work. And even that is too hard for Jake. So the Lord is looking at you like, what more can you do for an individual like that? You mean to tell me that it is too hard to type in, oh, that breakdown of boom, 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 GMS, and just, like sit and watch you don't have to get up, you don't have to run a marathon, just watch it, understand it, read the scripture, make sure it makes sense to you. If you have questions, ask about it, and boom. But once again, that's too much. And if that's too much, then the Lord's going to tell, well, then I can't have you here. I can't have you here. You messing up my business. Um, this is yep, chosen vessel 144, Proverbs 18 and 2. Fools have no interest in understanding. This is the NLT version. They only want to air their own opinions. Damn. Shit. Let me find the King James version of that. See what that says. It's that Proverbs 18 and what was that? 2? That was a it's usually them Proverbs and Sirach and Ecclesiastes. They have those sharp daggers, man. All right, but it says here, Proverbs 18 and 2, a fool hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. Okay, and then as we read in the NLT, fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. They want to hear themselves talk, not to properly understand. And that's why they don't, you're not gonna make it anywhere, man. Okay. Because when you try to make the ministry about you, you're done. You're done now. Boom. Lord is like, all right, give him the boot. He's gone. Okay. Yep. Dyed garments from Basra 144 ba. Proverbs 24:7. Wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth in the gate. And the scriptures tell you that even a fool is counted wise when he holdeth his tongue. Because at least he had the wisdom to know that if I open my mouth, everybody gonna know I'm a fool. So I mean, it's better that I'm just quiet and they don't know what nature I am than for me to expose myself like this. Okay, and that's why the scriptures tell you about not using, especially not using many words in the midst of elders, because the more words you use, the more you speak, the more chances there are for you to say something off or to slip up. That's why it's best you keep it to the point, sharp. You make your point, boom, that's it. This is Soywy Labad Napash, Ecclesiasticus 3:24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion. You see, opinion. I remember years ago you had an individual. He came by. I think he asked a question, and and the brother called for a precept, and he's no. I don't want to hear what the book says. I want to know what's your opinion. What you think about that? And then the answer was, well, what I think is what's written in the book. It ain't about me personally how I feel. If that was the case, then I could go do a podcast somewhere. But I'm here speaking the words of the Lord. So I'm gonna speak what's in the book. What the hell do I know? If it was about what we thought, why did the Lord bring us into his ministry? Right? We would have had our own ministries somewhere in the world, but we got brought into the Lord's ministry. We entered into other men's labors. So we teach it the way that it is taught to us. It's not about coming in and trying to remix it. You can go do that somewhere else. That's like you get hired at a job and they tell you the uniform is you got to wear a suit, black suit, and then I don't know, a white tie or something. No, I'm coming with a hoodie and sweatpants. That's how we doing. No, then don't come in at all. um, yep, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yep. John 4:38, Pillars of Benjamin. I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye entered into their labors. Con. So going back to that point that I was making, there's a lot of hard work and digging and stuff that was done for us. Okay, and now we are reaping those benefits. And like I said, there's really no excuse. So going back to the title, don't just glance over it. Take the extra time, even if it's just one word, look it up, understand it, because once you understand it and you plug it back into the sentence and you read the sentence, it'll make much more sense to you. And sometimes when reading the scriptures, the sentence in the King James version might be a little hard to understand because of the old English. So then read in other translations, read in multiple different translations and understand what is the underlying concept that's being mentioned here. And when you understand that, you can go back to the King James and then try to make sense of it. Oh, okay. It's really saying this, but it's just saying it in old English. That's why it sounds like such and such. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna end it here. The water for the precepts, and Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.